Once upon a time in a mystical medieval kingdom, there lived a brave young knight named Sir Gallant. Though he was still a squire in training, Gallant dreamed of one day being a heroic knight who could protect the kingdom from harm. He was kind, courageous and always tried to do what was right. Every day, Gallant practiced his swordsmanship and horsemanship. He trained under the wise old knight Sir Bors, who taught him how to wield a sword and shield in combat. Gallant worked very hard and improved little by little each day. Though combat training was difficult, he persevered with determination and discipline. One morning, as Gallant was out practicing his archery skills, he heard a tremendous roar echo across the countryside. He looked up and saw an enormous red dragon soaring overhead. Gallant was stunned to see a real dragon, as he thought they only existed in myths and legends. The dragon flew towards a nearby village, smoke trailing from its nostrils. Gallant rushed to saddle his trusted steed and galloped as fast as he could toward the village, hoping to save the peasants from the fierce dragon. When Gallant arrived at the village, he found utter chaos. The dragon was breathing fire at the buildings and terrorizing the poor villagers. Without thinking twice, Gallant raised his shield, drew his sword and charged at the dragon on horseback. Though he was afraid, he knew it was his duty to protect the kingdom from this threat. Gallant yelled a courageous battle cry as his steed galloped closer. The dragon whipped its spiked tail around and glared menacingly at Gallant, smoke billowing from its nose. Gallant adamantly engaged the dragon in combat, dodging flames and spikes from its thrashing tail. The battle seemed hopeless at first. The dragon was much bigger and more ferocious than Gallant anticipated. However, Gallant's courage and determination eventually overwhelmed the dragon. After an intense battle, Gallant delivered a final mighty blow with his sword, piercing the dragon's chest. The vile dragon cried out in pain and collapsed to the ground with a tremendous thud. Gallant had triumphed. The villagers were overjoyed that Gallant had saved their village from the fearsome dragon. They thanked him profusely for his bravery. Gallant was humble, and replied that he was just doing his duty as a knight. He cautioned them to stay safe, as more dragons may be lurking about. Before leaving, Gallant cut off one of the dragon's shiny red scales as a souvenir. He returned to the castle battered and bruised from the epic battle, but also wiser and more experienced. When Gallant returned, Sir Bors and the other knights were astonished at his victory over the dragon at such a young age. For his incredible bravery, Gallant was awarded knighthood right away and became known as Sir Gallant the Dragonslayer. During the knighting ceremony, Gallant swore an oath to always protect the kingdom and serve with honor and valor. He was presented with gleaming new armor and a sword engraved with the image of a dragon. But Gallant's epic dragon adventure was far from over. A few days later, loud trumpets rang out from the castle ramparts signaling an attack. Gallant rushed up to see an army of dragons swarming the countryside, burning fields and towns. Under the lead of a colossal black dragon, this angry flock was seeking revenge for Gallant's slaying of their previous leader. The vengeful dragons were fast approaching the castle walls. Gallant quickly gave orders to the castle soldiers and archers to prepare for battle. He donned his best armor and rallied the other knights and troops to stand brave against this fearsome foe. Just as the furious flock of dragons reached the castle walls, Gallant gave the signal. A hailstorm of flaming arrows soared into the sky, followed by catapulted boulders. The brave troops clashed with the dragons in epic warfare, swords and spikes colliding furiously. In the heart of the battle, Gallant confronted the monstrous black dragon leader. He nimbly dodged the dragon's sharp spikes and claws while dealing blows with his razor-sharp enchanted sword Decimator. After an intense duel, Gallant managed to slice off one of the black dragon's heads. But the beast somehow grew two more snarling heads in its place. Even with two fewer nasty heads, the dragon seemed completely unstoppable. How could Sir Gallant possibly prevail? Just as the battle seemed lost, Gallant spotted a weak spot on the dragon's chest that was unprotected by scales. He struck with all his might and plunged his magical sword directly into the dragon's heart. The vile three-headed black dragon wailed in agony and crumpled to the ground with a building-rattling thud. By slaying the dragon leader, the rest of the army was quickly scattered. Against all odds, Gallant had led his kingdom to victory once more. A thunderous cheer erupted from the survivors. The villagers rejoiced and celebrated Gallant's leadership and bravery for defeating the terrifying dragons. Songs and stories were sung across the land about the triumphant battle for years to come. Sir Gallant the Dragonslayer became a living legend and went down in history as one of the greatest knights the kingdom had ever known. He continued defending the realm throughout his life, always striving for justice, honor, and virtue.